welcome to the channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Eden and today I'm going to talk about all things college application. For those new to my channel, I do a lot of school videos or have done a lot of school videos in the past, so I wanted to talk about my college application process since it consumed a lot of my senior year and was a huge aspect as to why I've been more MIA throughout my senior year, because I've just been working so hard on my college application. And I want to talk about where I applied, my stats, where I got in, and then ultimately my decision. I also wanted to talk about some tips, especially if you're an incoming senior looking to apply to schools. I was grabbing at all the tips last year around this time, trying to shape my perfect little application that expressed who I was. So first, a little bit about me is I applied as a neuroscience major, and a lot of what I wanted to do was the biology-based neuroscience. So if schools had psychology or biology-based, I always went with the biology-based. So for example, Loyola University Chicago, where I ended up going, spoiler, had behavioral and cognitive, and then cellular and molecular. So I ended up applying for a BS in cellular and molecular neuroscience. But a huge thing that I did that was helpful, and if you guys want to do this too, I highly recommend it, is making a Google Sheet of all of your research just to highlight it all. It makes comparing schools really easy. So if you're touring schools this summer or in the fall, you can just kind of pull it up, see like how expensive the schools are, what major they technically have that interests you the most, what kind of highlight each school has. I also made little notes on tours so that I can like keep track of everything, and made the process so handy. I also shared that with my parents because my dad would often ask questions along the way like, oh, is Brown the one with yada yada yada? And I would be like, yeah, Brown is the one with the open curriculum. So I'm looking at mine because I haven't pulled this up in such a long time. I'm gonna put it on the screen. If you're starting the process, if you're looking at schools, any school that has interested you, I say put it on there, and then you can always cross it off later, not apply or whatever. I crossed off a lot of schools along the way, and that is perfectly normal. I also applied to the school that I really wanted to go to my freshman year, but it was for a different major. So I put the school name, what type of application I'd be using. So if I was using the like early application, early decision, regular decision, rolling decision, like all of those different things. If you do not know, I'm just gonna go over it because a lot of people are just starting the application process. Early action means that you're applying early by usually the November 1st deadline, but it's not restrictive, so you can apply to other schools with early action. Early decision means that you can only apply to that one school early, and if you get in, you have to go to that school. You're making your decision early. Rolling decision means that they accept people on a rolling basis, and if you get in, you find out like within a couple weeks. For me, a couple schools had it. It was really nice to know that I got it earlier, but it also helps you feel secure. I also put the application fee so I could tell my parents if they were paying for some stuff or if I was paying for some stuff, and just get a better financial. And then I also at the end did like a summary, like total it all up so I didn't have to actually do the math. And then I had a link to the major page so I could quickly go tap on it and then get all information about that school and my major. Then I had the intended major that I was applying with. Also, if my voice does not sound like normal, it's because I'm just getting over the most wicked cold ever from college orientation that I went to at the end of June. If I sound like I smoke like 20 million packs a day, I truly do not. It's just the cold. The next column that I put was the college underneath what I was applying to. Again, if college stuff is brand new to you, you have your university. Within the university or institution, there are multiple colleges. So there's usually like a college of arts and sciences. There's usually like a business school, like social work school, various things, nursing school. So there's all that different stuff too. Do your research, know what school you're applying to, because sometimes different colleges have different application rules. For example, the University of Minnesota has the College of Biological Sciences, which is different than the College of Liberal Arts. And so that was very unique for that school because neuroscience was underneath College of Biological Sciences rather than like psychology, which is in liberal arts. I also had a column for the location, column about the core curriculum, which core curriculum was a huge part of my personal college research. I saw benefits of having open curriculum, but also benefits of a liberal arts education, and it just is really useful to know what they are, how flexible they are, how many options do they have to satisfy different things if it interests offers you, all that good stuff, because you will have to fulfill those requirements to graduate. So knowing that is useful in making your decision as well. So that's what I kind of did last summer, is I just researched a ton, looking on TikTok and seeing what students that currently go to the schools think of their school. Big things that factored into my personal decision was the community around the school, and then also the academics, which that's huge, of course. I really wanted an artsy city vibe, but I also love like beachy, happy, like coastal grandmother. I found a lot of times throughout my college decision I was picking things based off of aesthetics and vibes, which I highly recommend doing. Another thing that I found out midway last summer, like halfway through the summer, when I was going on a bunch of tours out east, was I was looking for a collaborative community feel versus a competitive one. Oftentimes at really selective, prestigious schools, I find that they have very competitive natures within their student body, very competitive attitudes. That's something I was not looking for. So I'm gonna go over all of the colleges that I looked at throughout my researching process, and then I'm gonna go through how I kind of narrowed them down. So the first school that like I really ever looked at like seriously was the University of St. Thomas, which is in St. Paul, Minnesota, the largest private institution within Minnesota. My dad is an alumni from there. Also, it was a free application. I've been on many tours there. I have friends that go there. The University of St. Thomas was a safety for me. I had a 76% acceptance rate. I applied to the University of Minnesota, which is a $55 application fee, in case you're wondering. The University of Minnesota was also a safety for me. Their acceptance rate for the 2023 school year, I don't know if how accurate this is. I've seen many different numbers. One place says 56.7% for 2023, and then another place says 73%, and another place says 69%. So I have no idea, but it's kind of like 60%-ish. For me, the University of Minnesota was very familiar and very safe, but I love the school, and if I would have stayed in state, I would have so gone there. And then I also applied to Loyola University of Chicago, which is where I ended up choosing to go, which they have a rolling decision way of applying, and their priority deadline for like the most merit and everything is December 1st. I also had a free application, which was a huge appeal to me, and I think I found it because it was like best schools on the lake, best schools on bodies of water. If you don't know, Loyola is like right on Lake Michigan in Chicago. Huge beachy vibe, huge city vibe. It's the best of both worlds. If you're looking for a school, I highly recommend it. Lovely, lovely school. And its acceptance rate this year for 2023 was a 63.9. Where I ended up EDing was NYU, which is New York University. I was really looking for a big city, so I went NYU, and they have great medicine, everything. Like, I would have totally gotten into a good med school if I went there. I'm actually really glad I did not get into NYU, because in hindsight, I feel like moving to New York would be crazy for me. I feel like Loyola in Chicago is like a good step away from home, but still close enough. And had I gotten in there, I don't know if I would have like loved it as much as I love Loyola, and I think I do love it more than I actually loved NYU. But I did ED to NYU. I paid that $85 application fee, and I got rejected. Their acceptance rate this year went crazy low. I think it was 21% in 2022, but NYU acceptance rate in 2023 was a 12.2 for all of their schools, but the College of Arts and Sciences where I applied was at 4%. A 4%. Side little thing, I did a ton of dual enrollment. If you have watched my channel, you know I've been doing college credits, college classes at colleges for the past 2 years. But NYU would not have taken as many, so I will be able to double major, double minor at Loyola, which I truly just do not think I'd be able to do elsewhere. Definitely if you have college credit of any sort, like AP, IB, dual enrollment, any of that, check that policy at the different schools. Also, transferology. Transferology is huge. I was able to see how different college credits transferred. Extremely easy. The next school I applied to and actually almost went to was Fordham University, which is in the Bronx. Again, a cis wanted to be in the city, and Bronx is definitely close to New York, but it's not in Manhattan. I love Fordham. I went there and I toured it. I absolutely loved it. It just did not give the vibes that Loyola did, and I chatted to many Fordham students in addition to Loyola students. It's a huge thing for making your decision. This is last page. Most colleges have it. So for this year, it'll be your school class of 2028. So they have those, which you can kind of see what the incoming student population will look like and like their vibes, their energy, which I feel like is huge because those are the people that you're going to be surrounded with. And if you're not liking those people, you're probably not going to have a good time in college. So Fordham was a big one that matched a lot of what I was looking for. It was a little bit more dark academia. Fordham was like a target for me. Their 2022-23 acceptance rate was a 42.7. So those are the schools that I applied to. I don't think I applied to any other. So now let's go over the schools I almost applied to, but then I didn't. Boston College was my favorite. Like I was almost gonna ED there. I decided not to ED. I didn't think I was gonna get as good a merit if I did ED. Kind of regret not applying period because I'm still curious what I would have gotten there. Their acceptance rate was a 26.73 this year. Then I almost applied to Temple, but I did not end up touring Temple. And let's go over the other schools that I toured but then did not end up applying to. Northwestern. U Chicago I looked at, but I ended up not applying because I did not want to be in South Chicago. And also acceptance rate. I looked at Syracuse for a brief moment, really liked it, but it was in Syracuse, New York. And I did not want to be in Syracuse, New York. And that was a deal breaker for me. Johns Hopkins. Brown University definitely was high up there and I almost applied there. But again, it was discouraging with the low acceptance rate. Really love Providence. I went and toured Brown. They were very bubbly and I love. It was the most bubbly of the Ivies that I've ever seen. Providence was not as big of a city as I needed though. That was also a huge thing. And I also went and toured the University of Vermont, but Vermont ended up being too granola. Arlington, Vermont was not big enough for me. Drexel University was similar with Temple. Didn't do much research into Drexel. It was there for the moment. I went through a phase where I was very obsessed with UPenn. Did not end up applying. I actually went and toured Columbia because again, your girl wanted to move to a big city. Actually surprised me at how much the tour was like, okay, this is not the place for me. And then Boston University gave like NYU vibes, but in Boston. I did not really look at any UC schools because I did not want to move to California because I just don't like palm trees very much. I went through a phase where I really strongly hated palm trees and that was during my application era. Then I came upon University of Southern California and that changed my mind. And so then I researched a ton about University of Southern California, really came to love it, but then I decided not to apply because I thought I would not be able to handle the weather in California that's constantly hot. Other schools I briefly looked at were Connecticut College, Villanova University. Specifically, I don't know if you know him. There's this guy on TikTok that is a ginger who goes around and like interviews people at different colleges who initially started that at Villanova, and I fell in love with those videos very deeply enough to research what college he was from. Not for him, but because I thought the college was pretty and I liked the energy of the students, and it was Villanova. Then I looked at Hamilton University, again upstate New York, then University of Pittsburgh, and that was my list of colleges that I looked at and researched. I just realized lighting is so much better over here, so I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to talk about my stats and involvement and everything, which I know is a very interesting category. I watched a ton of videos talking about stats to kind of give ideas of like who got rejected, who got in, to give you an idea of my involvement. This resume is 9 pages long. Also, another huge tip, I don't know if this really helped me or not. I mean, I did get into 4 out of the 5 schools, but I submitted an external resume, and on the Common App, you can do that, and they have like some, I think it's called like submit additional things that you can upload your own resume, and that was very useful because I write a lot and I feel like my activities are kind of interesting, so I feel like I was able to better reflect what I did and its significance in this. So I will not go over my whole resume because it's very long. I graduated number 2 in my class out of roughly 500 people, and then my weighted GPA was a 4.59. My unweighted GPA was a 3.993. Got 1 A- in Chem B. I wrote a little blurb about why I wanted to do neuroscience, and I also gave a brief paragraph about how the pandemic impacted me. I wrote my schools, which I will not tell you my schools, but I was at one school for 8th and 9th grade, another school for 9th through 12th grade, and then while I was at the 9th through 12th grade school, I did dual enrollment at 2 different colleges. And then I also want to add in here at my dual enrollment institution, again, I took, I think I took like 60 some credits, and I got A's in all of my classes. So I had a 4 3.0 GPA at all my colleges. Extracurricular activities, I took viola since 6th grade. I was in National Honor Society and I led a couple committees in that. I founded a chapter of HOSA at my school and I was the president of that, so I was the founding president of the HOSA. I have a YouTube channel. I also have a photography business where I take senior portraits, wedding. My dad owns a modeling business and so I work there. I stain decks, I paint rooms, I do all that good stuff. I also went to a scrubs camp. If you don't know what that is, you learn medical skills. I went that the summer before 12th grade. It was really fun. I also taught Sunday school. So I taught Sunday school from 8th to 10th grade, and then I did chamber orchestra in 9th grade as part of the Tri-M Music National Honor Society for 10th grade. Separate from my activities, I also wrote about my volunteer experiences because I feel like that is interesting to highlight as well. I'm not going to go into depth with the details of them all because I feel like it will take so long. A lot of them were in association with NHS. I also helped tune at elementary school concerts. Again, that's like for the viola. And I also was the videographer for sermons at my church during the pandemic. So I went and I filmed sermons and I posted them online. All my Sunday school teaching was volunteer. I also ran the Sunday school Christmas program for December 2018, 2019, and 2020. So I did a lot of that. Honors and acknowledgements. Academic letter. I had an academic letter for all years in high school. I was on the dean's list at my college for all the semesters. I also graduated with literacy honors from my high school. I had the United Nations National Community Service Award for my junior year. I was a viola section leader for a couple of things. I played viola in a state conference. Another thing I put at the end because I thought it would spice up my application. Do I know if it's beneficial? No. Do I think it was fun? Absolutely. So I said besides my academic pursuits, extracurricular activities, and volunteer experiences, I also have other interests that I feel are crucial to be expressed to demonstrate a more who I am as a person, because not everything is reflected on your resume and I feel like people need to understand that. And so I put other hobbies that I feel like make me a person. So again, where I'm going this fall is Loyola University Chicago. I'm so excited. And if you can, find a school you're passionate about. It makes this process a lot easier. I was passionate about every single school I was applying to, so I knew I'd be happy at every single school I was applying to, and that made the process so much easier. And I hope the process goes smoothly for you. It's enjoyable. I loved the process. It can be fun. I wish you all the best, and may you have a great time applying to colleges. Much love, and see you in the next video. Bye.